A very big good morning, students. Welcome you all to the second lecture of retail management. In the previous lecture, we had talked about the meaning, the importance, and the definition of retailing and the various types of retail formats. So, we continue with this previous one. Now, we'll be in this particular slide, we'll be talking about the multi channel retailing and the various theories of retailing. In the previous video, we talked about the formats of retailing. So, multi-channel retailing is actually part of that only. So, in multi-channel retailing, you can see the brick and mortar retail is there, internet channel is there, catalog channel is there, direct selling is there, television, home shopping is there, automated retailing is there. So, start with the first one, that is the brick and mortar store, or you can say store channel stores. Of they offer various benefits to the customers that they cannot get when they shop through non-store channels such as the catalogs or the internet. So the benefits of brick and mortar store include touch and feel the products, personal service, risk reduction, immediate gratification, entertainment and social experience, physical browsing and cash payment. Then we have internet channel retailing. It is also called online retailing. Electronic retailing and e-tailing is a retail channel in which the offering of products and services for sale is communicated to the customers over the internet. The benefits of internet channel include broader and deeper assortments, no time constraints, more timely information for evaluating the merchandise, and personalization. Now, if we talk about the catalog channels, catalog channel is a non-store retail channel in which the retail offering is communicated to customers through a catalog mailed to the customers. So, the merchandise categories with the greatest catalog sales are drug and beauty aids, computers and softwares, clothing and accessories, furnitures, etc. Now, if we talk about direct selling, so direct selling is what? A retail channel in which salespeople interact with customers face to face in a convenient location, either at the customer's home or at work. The salespeople they demonstrate merchandise, benefits, explain services, take an order, and deliver the merchandise. It is a highly interactive channel involving face-to-face discussions. In this, you have two types of special direct selling are there. Part plan system, that is here the salesman encourage the customers to act as hosts and invite friends, co-workers to a party where the merchandise is displayed and attendees place orders. Then you have the multi-level system. Here independent businessmen serve as master distributors, recruiting other distributors in their network. Then you have television homes shopping. So, a retail channel in which the customers watch a television program that demonstrates merchandise and then place orders for that merchandise, usually through a telephone, via the internet, or via the TV remote. So, there are three forms of TV home shop retailing. Cable channels to television shopping, infomercials are mostly 30 to 60 minutes programs that mix entertainment with product demonstration and solicit orders placed by the telephone. Then you have the direct response advertising. That is 1 or 2 minute advertisements on television and radio that describe the products and provide an opportunity for consumers to order them. Then you have the other forms of multi-channel retailing. Most of the purchases are made by a relatively small proportion of viewers. So the major advantage of TV home shopping is that the customers can see the merchandise demonstrated either on their television screens or through streaming videos on the internet. Then you have automated retailing, that is to the vending machines. So, a retail channel in which the merchandise or services are stored in a machine and dispensed to the customers when they deposit cash or use a credit card. So, vending machines are placed at convenient and high traffic locations. It is mainly used for cold beverages, candy, snacks, etc. So, what are the various benefits of multi-channel retailing? The first is overcoming the limitations of existing format. So, it helps to increase assortments. By using a combination of channels, retailers can better satisfy the customer needs by exploiting the benefits and overcoming the limitations of each channel. For example, one of the greatest constraints facing store based retailers is the location and size of the stores. However, the number of products presented through an internet channel is virtually unlimited. If we talk about low cost, consistent execution, customers can get personalized information from sales association and stores. Over time, the sales associates can learn what customers like and want. However, customers can get this benefit only when the sales associates are present. Training and retaining knowledgeable sales associate is expensive. So internet channel can overcome this problem. Then if you talk about the current information, the catalog retailers also use electronic channels to overcome the limitations of their catalogs. Once a catalog is printed, it cannot be updated economically with the latest price changes and new merchandise. So these retailers use the internet site to provide customers with real-time information about the stock availability and price reduction on clearance merchandise. Then you have the touch and feel products. The store channels provide opportunity for customers to use all five senses like touching, smelling, tasting, seeing, and hearing. Then you have the increasing customer satisfaction and loyalty. By providing a great array of benefits through multi-channel offerings, retailers can increase their share of customer wallets, the percentage of purchase made from the specific retailer. Then with the personal services, the consumers in retail store can get personalized services and immediate feedback like an apparel in suiting them. A particular color suits them more and so on. Then you have immediate gratification. The customers can get the merchandise immediately after they buy it from the stores. Then you have gaining the insights into consumer shopping behavior. An electronic channel actually provides the valuable insights into how and why customers shop and are dissatisfied or satisfied with their experiences. Then you have expanding the market presence. The market for store-based retailers is limited to customers living in close proximity to the retail stores. By adding the internet channel, retailers can expand their market without having to build new stores. Then building a strategic advantage, multi-channel retailers have the opportunity to develop a strategic advantage over single channel competitors. Then, what are the very issues in multi-channel retailing? So, the first one is providing an integrated shopping experience. So, multi-channel retailers are struggling to provide an integrated shopping experience across all the channels because unique skills and resources are needed to manage each of the channel. So, because you're having multi-channels, so you have to see that the shoppers are actually getting a unique experience through the various channels that you're providing. Secondly, cost of selling products through the different channels. When selling merchandise through the internet channel, retailers do not incur the cost of building, operating stores, and compensating employees working in those stores. So, however, internet retailers incur significant cost to design, maintain, and refresh a website, attract customers to the site, maintain distribution systems and warehouses dedicated to fulfilling orders from individual customers, and deal with a high level of returns. These overhead costs associated with operating an electronic channel may even be greater than the cost of the operating physical stores. Then you have the potential for disintermediation. So, disintermediation actually occurs when a manufacturer sells directly to the consumers, bypassing the retailers. So, the retailers are concerned about disintermediation because manufacturers can get direct access to the customers by establishing a retail store on the internet. You can see Hewlett Packard printers and accessories are sold both directly to consumers through its website and at the same time indirectly to the retail stores and its websites. So, however, most manufacturers lack the skills to sell directly to the consumers. Retailers have considerably more expertise than manufacturers in distributing merchandise directly to the customers, providing complementary assortments and collecting and using information about the customers. Then they have since each of the channels offers a unique set of benefits, the profiles of retailer customers who use the different channels are not the same. So thus a critical decision facing multi-channel retailers is the degree to which they should integrate the operations of the channels or have different organizations for each channel. So you have centralized customer database. It provides a complete history of each customer's interaction with the retailer to provide a seamless experience. Then you have brand image. The retailers need to provide a consistent brand image of themselves and their private label merchandise across all channels. Then you have merchandise assortment. Different assortments are appropriate for each of the channels. The customers expect pricing consistency across the channels, excluding shipping charge and sales tax. Then you talk about the pricing. Customers expect pricing consistency across channels, that is, excluding shipping charges. Reduction of channel migration. Retailers want customers to both search for information and complete the transaction through their channels, but the low cost of searching on the internet increases the opportunity for channel integration. Now, if we talk about the retailing scene, we talk in terms of the global terms. It is well organized in most of the developing countries. The global business is worth about, you can say, $6.6 trillion. The retail market size is 23,325 billion dollars in the US and $280 billion in India. So organized retail is 85% in the US and about 5% in India. China 20% and Taiwan 80%. The retail sector is part of the service sector, and if organized is a major contributor to a country's GDP. High potential for it is a high potential for generating employment. 2 million retail outlets in the US employ about 22 million people. Retail sector contributes significantly to the growth of the economy. The organized retail is becoming more powerful over its suppliers, who may also be big corporates, producers of goods taking action to protect their products. Now, if we talk about the theories of retail, we have two types of theory. One is cyclical theory, and the second one is evolutionary theory. So, in cyclical theory, you have the wheel of retailing and the accordion theory. In evolutionary theories, you have dialect process and the natural selection process. So we start with the theories of retailing, that is wheel of retailing. The wheel of retailing was actually proposed by Malcolm Nair in 1958, which enumerates how the organizations change during their lifetime. So a retail outlet actually it starts with low prices, margins and simplicity. With time to improve the footfalls, outlets add additional services for customers. This add to the cost of the business. And then if we talk about the second stage, if we talk about the second stage, the outlet has higher prices, margins, and better image. To keep the customers happy, more services are added. There is an escalation of the second stage into the third stage where the retailers has built a premium image. This creates a gap in the market which gets filled by an entirely new type of outlet which starts at stage one of low prices, margins, and simplicity. Now in this diagram you can see the wheel of retailing. You can see over here that there is a new retailer, that is the entry phase where you have a new retailer who has low status. The prices are low, it gives limited services and the facilities are not very good, and it offers limited product. Then as it grows it moves on to the trading phase. So and in the traditional retailer he has a good status, he offers high price, elaborate services, he provides more facilities, and now he has more products to be offered. Then is the phase of the vulnerability phase. In this phase actually, that is you have a declining return on investment and the prices are high. This is where the gap gets created and a whole new type of a retailer enters into the wheel of retailing. So this is the wheel of retailing that Malcolm Nair had talked about in 1958. If we summarize the wheel of retailing, the first stage is the innovative stage, which has low prices, low services, limited product offerings. Then you have the second stage, which is the traditional stage, where you have improved product offering, better service, and higher prices. Then you have the maturity stage, where you have the increased competition, lower return on investment, premium pricing possibilities. Then we talk about the in this, we have scrambled merchandising actually, which occurs as the retailers add goods and services that are unrelated to each other and the firm's original business to increase the overall sales and profit margins. Now we talk about the next theory, that is the accordion theory. This also come in the this also is the you can say another theory of retailing. This was proposed by Hollander. The accordion theory tells a general retailer grows into a specialized one and grows into a specialized one and then on to being a bigger general retailer. For example, a retail outlet in these phases are generally broad based outlets with wide assortment and then on the broad based assortment again. Today, the shrinking of the accordion shows the success of specialty stores such as Starbucks is there, Foot Locker is there, Amazon's new brick and mortar bookstores are there. Then we come to the theory of natural selection. So it is based on Darwin's theory of survival, which says the fittest would survive the longest. The retail sector comprises consumers, manufacturers, marketers, suppliers, and the changing technology. So those retailers that adapt to changes in demography, technology, consumer preferences, and legal changes are more likely to survive for long and prosper. The environmental factors which influence the evolution of retail stores by environmental factors like the economic factor, the demographic factor, the legal factors, the political factors, and the technological factors. The retailers who successfully adopt to these factors are more successful. Then we have the dialect process theory. In dialect process theory, you can say this theory actually explains the reaction of a retailer to the actions of its competitors. It says that retailers mutually adapt from their opposites as in competitors. Any challenges by a competitor by introduction of differential advantages is countered by the retailer by similar action, reducing the impact of the competitor, and this process goes on. In conflictual theory, this conflict between a retailer and its competitors is also likely to result in a new type of a retail format. So then we talk about the melting pot theory or the conflict theory. The conflict theory always exists between operators of similar formats or within broad retail categories. It is believed that retail innovation does not necessarily reduce the number of formats available to the customer, but leads to the development of more formats. Retailing thus evolves through a dialect process. Example, the blending of two opposites to create a new format. So this can be applied to development in retailing as follows: thesis, that is the individual retailers as corner shops all across the country. Then you have antithesis, that is a position opposed to the thesis, develops over a period of time. These are the departmental stores. The antithesis is a challenge to the thesis. Then you have a synthesis. So there is a blending of the thesis and antithesis. The result is a position. The result is a position between the thesis and the antithesis. Supermarkets and hypermarkets thrive. This synthesis becomes the thesis for the next round of evolution. So you can see over here the diagram for the conflict theory, which shows that the thesis is a store. In opposite to it, we have the antithesis, that is the departmental store. And when it synthesizes, we have a new type of a format, that is the discounted departmental store. So that is the conflict theory all about. Then we talk about the polarization theory. So in polarization theory, actually this theory it is suggesting that in a longer term the industry consists of mostly large and small size retailers. So the medium size becomes unviable. This is called as polarization. So the large stores offer one-stop shopping. The smaller ones tend to offer limited range of products but add value to their offers with other services also. So it is found that firms tend to be more profitable when they're either small in size or big. So the medium falls into the Bermuda Triangle. So these are actually all the theories which are related to retailing. So we talked about the various theories of retailing in this, which is the which is cyclical theory, that the wheel of retailing, which was given by Macalom Nair, and which tells that it has the retailing has an entry phase, then it has the growth phase, and finally it reaches the traditional or you sorry the vulnerability phase, where a new type of a retail format actually enters over there. Then we have the accordion theory. Okay, then in the evolutionary theory, we talked about the dialect process and the natural selection. So these were about the theories of retailing. And we also talked about multi-channel retailing, that is a retail outlet which actually sells its product not only through online its online presence, but it also has an offline presence. But the main problem over here is that whether it is an offline process or an online process, because it is having multi channels. So when it is maintaining multiple channels, it is very difficult for a retailer to actually control all the channels, because he has to be more appropriate and he has to see to it that his online presence is being actually being visited by the customers, and the customers are also very happy with the various ultimate channels that is being provided by the retailer. So this is for today, okay students. So in the next chapter we will be talking about the various other forms of retailing. So for today we'll be ending it over here. A very good morning again, and thank you to all. We'll meet in the next class, and we'll be talking about the evolution of retail and what is the current position of retailing in the industry, how it is actually contributing to the GDP of the GDP in the of the world, and how it evolved, how it started, what was the first thing which uh, gradually developed into the present time retailing business. Okay, students. So a lot of thanks for listening to me. Thank you, students.